Greetings, Bobcats. My name is Miss Mola, and I'm your 9th grade assistant principal. I'd like to take a couple minutes to explain to my parents and students one more time about the grading system. In high school, we work off of a semester situation so that you're earning grades at the half a year and the full year mark. So your full credit course by the end of the year was earned with points put onto your transcript at 2 points. The end of your first semester and the end of your second semester. So for the students that I've talked to already, that I've told you, we have a lot of recovery time as we move through high school. Now is one of those moments where you take the time to pause and reflect at the end of the first quarter. Are you on track for graduation? Is what you're doing going to get you to graduation with the GPA you want? Or is it time to do some recovery, get refocused, and make sure that your second quarter is stronger before your grades actually hit your transcript? So this is how it goes. Quarter 1 plus quarter 2 plus the midterm equal a half credit. That grade, those 3 grades put together, quarter 1, quarter 2, and your midterm, all go towards your transcript grade. So your quarter 1 grade, if it's not the grade you wanted, has time for recovery because no college or outside institution will ever know what you did in your freshman year in your first quarter. But they will know what type of student you were by the time you hit midterms. So the same thing happens again in the second semester. Your third quarter, your fourth quarter, and your final exam together are averaged for your second semester grade. That's where your other half credit comes from. So just to understand, a quarter grade is important as it is 1/3 of your semester grade. Semester 1 is a half credit course, looking at first quarter, second quarter, and midterm. And again, in the second half of the year comes your second half credit equals your third quarter, your fourth quarter, and your final exam. Together, first half and second half equal 1 full credit for the course. So if at the end of the year you find yourself in a situation where your semester grade isn't what you wanted, a D or an F, you can take it online for recovery, just the semester that you weren't happy with. Remember, as long as you're doing a C or better, you're hitting that 2.0 GPA, and that GPA is what you need to walk across the stage. So as long as we're looking at C's or better, every time we hit a report card, then we know we're right on track. Parents, please remember that interms are only done online, so checking Pinnacle routinely is your best way to know where your student is from time to time and making sure that their progress is moving forward. Students, Pinnacle is your responsibility, so please make sure it's one of those updates you set for yourself so you know how grades are changing. Now I'd like to talk to you about the exam exemption process. The exam exemption process is something that was created by the school board where students are given the opportunity to exempt up to 3 exams, both at their midterm and at their final. So how it works is if a student receives on the report card for quarter 1 and quarter 2 a B or better, the student is allowed to exempt the exam for that course. The only courses that are not allowed to exempt a midterm would be the AP courses. Other than that, all courses offering a midterm, which is every course on campus, is allowed to be exempted. Students are allowed up to 3 classes. Up to 3 classes. So if only 1 class qualifies for the exemption, then students are still encouraged to make sure they fill out the exemption for that one individual class. The requirement is, again, must have a B or better in both quarters associated with that exam. So in the first semester, quarter 1 and quarter 2 must both be recorded as a B or better on the report card. The exemption may then be filled out for 1, 2, or 3 courses, not AP, and submitted by the deadline. Students, please know the deadline is a deadline. This is a privilege situation, not a requirement to offer. So please understand, you will have your exemption sheet for up to 2 weeks. The day you get it, have in mind already the classes you're looking to exempt. Have it completed by your teachers and submit it by the deadline. Once it is submitted, you may not get it back. So make sure that class stays at a B for the ones you've chosen to exempt. Should you miss a homework and the grade drops below 80% into the C range, that class is no longer allowed to be exempted. You must show up for that exam. whether the teacher reminds you or not. So make sure you're keeping in track with your Pinnacle during this process. The same thing happens in the second semester. Your third quarter and your fourth quarter must be B's or better. You can choose the same course or a different course. And at this point, keep in mind, your EOC classes have already tested during the EOC time period. So there is no final exam. So those ninth graders taking classes like Geometry, Algebra 1, or Biology, your final exam was your EOC. So those classes now have no final exam. That means your final exam exemption is applied to any other course applicable as long as there was a B or better. Keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, it is your responsibility to watch your grade. It is your responsibility to have your signature and your parent's signature on the exam exemption before the deadline. And it is your responsibility to make sure it is turned in as designated on the top right corner to one of the secretaries that is receiving it before the deadline. Please make sure you meet the deadline. Otherwise, you're taking an exam in a class that you've already been successful in. If you have any questions about this process or your grades, feel free to contact me at any time. Again, my name is Miss Mola. I'm your ninth grade administrator. Go Bobcats!